thank you for joining us today. Um, my name is, as you already know, my name is Cam, and I
Mm.
am a co-owner along with my wife of the Midium, where we uh, showcase and sell very special and unique uh, electronic musical instruments that we take very, very good care to curate and to make choices of what we're going to bring into the store to make sure that we make the decision making process as simple as possible for our artists by offering them the best of the best.
Yeah.
And in that curating process, you caught our attention, Nystrom Instruments. We discovered you on Instagram when there was a post about your instruments and the things that you've done.
Yeah.
So it was really nice to be able to reach out to you and start that conversation. And one of the things that would be really nice to know is, who are you? What's your background in designing synths? And please be as detailed as possible.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me, first of all. My name is Albert, Albert Nystrom. So that's where the Nyström comes from in my company name. And I'm from a small town here in Sweden. And I've been playing guitar for a pretty long time, since my teens. And I got really hooked on music and wanted to learn a lot of things about music. So I studied music program in high school, and then I studied jazz for a couple of years. And now just last spring, I got my master's in music education. So now I'm a music teacher here in Sweden. And I've always had some kind of interest, I guess, in technology. And naturally, with my interest in music, I also have an interest in music technology. So I started to get interested in synthesizers and stuff. And for the last 4 years, I think, I've been learning about how to make instruments myself. I think it started with, since I've been a student for quite a while, I don't have all the cash in the world. So I was looking for some cheaper alternatives to have more synthesizers. And naturally, I found some forums and stuff where I could create, where people made their own instruments. And that really caught my attention, and I got really inspired to try to make some stuff of my own. And that's pretty much where it started. And for the last 4 or 5 years, I've just been putting my mind to it and trying to learn everything I can about electronics, programming, making products and stuff. So it's been a quite short but intense journey in my instrument making process, I guess.
It's a very inspirational story considering that
Yeah,
you're a teacher,
yeah,
and that's a very demanding job on many levels.
yeah, it is.
And you're self-taught, right? You're not going to
Yeah,
school for this, you're teaching yourself.
yeah. In the like technology side of music creation, I'm completely self-taught. So it's been a lot of hours gathering different forums and just a lot of trial and error. But yeah, and I still have a lot of things to learn. I'm nowhere done with this, but yeah, I've gotten along the way, and I'll see where I can take it in the future as well.
No, that's great. And I mean, since you've been building your own, what are some of the designs that you've come up with since day one?
So the first project I ever did, I think I have it back here somewhere. It's quite heavy. It's this little guy.
Holy cow,
So
look,
it's a
that's
modular
big.
system. Yeah, it's grown after the years, but I started to make some simple modules, so like some mixers and some simple filters and some passive multipliers and stuff. Because I wanted to have a modular synthesizer, but those can get really expensive. And as I said, I didn't have the biggest budget back when I started. So yeah, I just made my way forward. So this is probably where it started. I built it bit by bit. It's quite wonky. Everything doesn't work anymore, but yeah, I like it. So and after that, I wanted to make something more like complete with the keyboard and stuff. So I where do I have it? I think it's here. I built this one. So it's an analog monosynth.
That is so cool looking.
Yeah, thank you. And yeah, so it's basically a modular synth, but it's just wired up together. So we have the regular elements, 3 VCOs and a mixer, filter, a couple of envelopes and LFOs and stuff.
Amazing.
So, yeah. And it's just made from wood and an old keyboard that I got from a keystep. I bought the keystep and took it apart and put it here. So yeah. And then I made quite a lot of other projects as well. This is another one I made. It's sort of a guitar thing, so you can play notes like this. It's like a slide guitar.
Oh, how wild!
Yeah. So that's also one of my earlier projects. Yeah, so I've been putting together quite a few things. I have some more things back here, but yeah.
So those things eventually led up to the Crum drum. It's fascinating. Yeah. Fascinating how you made that leap, because you start with a modular concept, then you go to a keyboard concept, which I'm sure once you have to integrate a keyboard into a synthesizer, it's a whole different ballgame. And then you go on to make this here thing, which to me, one of the things that struck Aaron and I was the elegant design. It's such an easy way. It's such an easy instrument to navigate, to understand.
Yeah.
In fact, in a couple of days, I'm going to be performing at the LA Synth Club 2nd anniversary event, and my artist name is Sign Drifter. And typically the music that I make is very 80s influenced. Also, it could be ambient and experimental. And I've never used something like that. The closest thing has been the Soma Laboratory Rumble of Ancient Times, which is also a small format, very compact synthesizer. And I've learned that those two units go together really, really well.
Yeah,
but in any case, to go from that analog design to now this is digital, right? The Crum drum is a digital design. So where did you learn to do all that coding? That would be way over my head.
Yeah, it is still over my head sometimes. But when I built analog stuff, I didn't really feel like I understood what I did. I just found different designs and just with trial and error tried to change them and in different ways. And sometimes I succeeded, sometimes I didn't. But I never felt like I really understood it very well. So I found some guy that had made some instruments with a Teensy. So it's a small microcontroller. I don't think I have any here. Yeah, it's like a tiny computer that you can program and put knobs to and switches and all kinds of stuff. So I started to look into that, and that's what got me started in programming. So like 3 years ago, I've never even looked at any code, but I just put my mind to it and really wanted to make something. And I think my first project with that was installed actually was this little organ simulator. So it's like a drawbar organ.
Oh, that's beautiful. Look at the wood.
Yeah, so it's
wow.
a little wooden project.
And it's functional. That's a functional unit.
It has a MIDI input here, so you can
Holy cow.
play some notes with it. So that was a project I did. And then I think my second project was this drum machine, which is like the predecessor to the Crum drum. So I've made a modular system. I made some melodic things, and I really wanted to make something more rhythmical. So I started to think of different ways to make that happen. And I didn't want like a regular step sequencer because it requires so much buttons and stuff and pages. And so I wanted to think of some other ways to make rhythms happen. And that's where this like randomized sequencing concept came up. So I made this one. It has 3 voices and some effects and stuff. And I posted it on YouTube. And like it caught a lot of attention from a lot of people. And people wanted to buy it and stuff. So I figured maybe I should do like a proper, better version of this and try to maybe sell it, because I have never sold anything up to this point. And then I went from this one to the Crum drum, basically. So it's sort of the same concept with a little bit different design and a few other features and stuff.
So now that you're showing us the Crum drum, so what would you say is the main reason why you invented the Crum drum, and what problems does it solve for musicians and artists?
I think first off, I just like to challenge myself and try to come up with new stuff. I love to just create stuff and let my creativity take me to different places, and just try to make something new that haven't been done before. And I'm not saying this is totally unique. There's of course a lot of different inspirations leading up to this, so it's not my invention entirely. But the thing I think is the best thing that I like most with this, that solves some problems maybe for some musicians, is that it's sort of more interactive than other drum machines might be, because usually you have a step sequencer maybe and you can put in exactly what you want, and this is more like having a drummer next to you that you can give some instructions to. But when you play with a live musician, they are always doing stuff that you can't really predict, and that's what makes like playing with other people so much fun. So this is like, I pictured this as some kind of a drum friend which you have next to you, which you can control in some ways, but sometimes it gives you some inspiration back like you weren't expecting. And I think that's what makes this kind of unique and very fun to play with, because you never know what you're going to get.
Yeah, absolutely. As I've been rehearsing for my performance this weekend, I've started to feel like with the Crum drum, I feel like I play more of a role as a conductor.
Yeah, that's
somewhat as a composer, because like you were saying, you interact with the Crum drum, and while the Crum drum plays with you, you tell it also what to do using the interface. Especially the probability and the random knobs.
Yeah, exactly. And then, those two makes everything happen.
Yeah, and the beat button is also very very useful. I think that kind of takes you as close to a traditional sequencer as you could possibly get with it. Aside from that, it's a very non-traditional interface. And in that sense, it's a whole different experience playing with it. Now, what does the word Crum mean? Why Crum drum?
That's actually a great question. I don't know the answer myself. I just it rhymes, so I googled what does Crum mean, or I just googled Crum, and I didn't really get any particular result. So I thought, well, then it's free for me to take it. So
Nice.
yeah, it just feels good to say Crum drum. I think it rhymes good.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's cool. A friend of mine's last name is Crum. So
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah. So I gotta show it to her and be like, "Hey, look, there's a drum machine named after you now."
yeah, that's
Um,
great.
so, how do you feel about the technology and synthesizers today? I think your perspective would be really would be interesting to hear because uh, the way that the industry works, it seems like there are, part of the way that it works, it seems like companies and larger inventors tend to go in a somewhat predictable direction at times.
Yeah,
Uh, but yet, when you get inventors who are working on their own, such as yourself, uh, there is a new way of looking at the technology behind these instruments and the artist experience. So, what do you see that's interesting, that's different, and how do you feel about the world of synths today and where it's going?
yeah, that's a really great question. I think for people like myself that is self-taught, it's like if comparing today from like 15 years ago, it's much easier to get started yourself, to create something and to learn stuff on the internet and find your way on your own without going through maybe a school or something. Not
Yeah,
that it's anything wrong with that, of course, but it's the landscape is really allowing people like me to also get creative and do stuff like this. And I think, as you said, some bigger companies are making maybe some pretty predictable stuff, and I think that people like me can compete with Behringer and Korg and stuff with making like very mainstream synthesizers with monosynths or polysynths. So we have to look elsewhere to create something a little bit more different to meet another audience. And my my way of thinking is that there are a lot of people who want just something different to create music, something that inspires them and to create something that they wouldn't otherwise make, perhaps. So I think like the synthesizer landscape really allows for some more unique stuff to happen.
hmm.
Yeah. Uh, you know, I think I'm seeing a lot of experimental synthesizers on the market nowadays. And I think that's really great to like people using technology to make music in new ways that haven't been done before. And that's really exciting, I think.
And do you think that the fact that the way you got started, which was making such different concepts from one platform to another, like you showed us the modular, and then a keyboard, and then a guitar type synth, and then a wooden drawbar based synth, each one's so different. Do you feel how do you feel that that has impacted your approach to the Crum drum?
That's a great question. I've when I made the modular synth, I was like, okay, now I've done that. Now I have to do something different. And then I made a mono synth, and I was like, okay, now I've done that, and I have to do something different.
Hmm.
And when you have made like 6 or 7 different projects, you really have to get creative to find something new that you haven't done before, like that is completely new. And then you start to think in new ways to try to maybe think of different sound types, sound generation, maybe start to think of different ways to interact like physically with the instrument. So like the more you create stuff, the more you start to come up with new ways to interact with the instrument. And I'd really like to in the future make some things that are more like physically different, because most of the synths I've done are like buttons and knobs and stuff, but there are, you can use all kinds of stuff to interact with instruments, and that would be really cool to, you know, find different ways to interact.
Yeah. Yeah, not to deviate from our main topic here, but you're talking about different ways to interact with instruments besides keys, knobs, and buttons. Soma Laboratory has done so much
Yeah, I
with.
really love Soma. Their instruments are a big inspiration for me, I think, because they are really experimental, but also really like new thinking and yeah, cool ways to interact with the instruments.
Yeah,
And they
yeah, it's
sound
tough.
really great too. So
As an electronic musician and artist, I think this is a great time to be alive.
yeah,
There's just so many great options and so many great ways
really,
to be able to make music. Like, to think that I've only spent about a week and a half with the Crum drum, and I'm about to uh, go on stage with it,
yeah,
and I, it's accessible.
yeah, it
I
really
think
is.
that for an instrument to be accessible and for the interface to be something that you can connect with is going to be essential.
Yeah,
Nowadays, I think nowadays it's hard to find um, instruments that sound bad. I
yeah,
think that the challenge is finding which ones sound better
yeah,
than and are closer to what you want or what your art or your project requires.
yeah,
Um, I think that the technology and the ideas that a lot of inventors, be it at the larger companies or at the more independent companies and independent inventors, um, I think that they've come a long way. Like your entire world of instrument inventors has come a long way in the sense that you have access to such great components and parts to be able to put
yeah,
these things together. And to me, the magic, I think the X factor with a lot of electronic instruments is the interface.
yeah,
It could sound great. It could have a million different features, but if it becomes like the labyrinth
yeah,
to navigate, then that's when things get a little challenging for a lot of musicians. But then again, I I recently, just a couple of days ago, bought a mint condition Yamaha DX7 II,
oh, great,
and this one, I remember reading, forever that Yamaha DX7s are so hard to program and the interface is a nightmare. But the other night, I spent about 3 or 4 hours with it,
yeah,
and it feels right.
all right, yeah,
I,
that's great.
I'm gonna sound a bit silly here. Sound like a meme almost, but I love programming the DX7.
Well, that's great.
But yeah, well, just a couple more questions here. I don't want
Yeah,
to take up too much of your time.
no worries. I would just say one thing about the interface with the
Yeah,
music instrument. As you said, it's almost hard to find instruments that sound bad. And I think if you
yeah,
want like the biggest sound palette and the like all the sounds in the world, you can always go like digital. But there's a reason I think that people want to have like physical instruments in front of them, because it's not always just about the sounds that are produced. It's so much about like the interaction between the what's happened physically, and that's so very important. I mean, this is not the most versatile thing in the world, but it's something different than to sit by your computer and turn knobs with your mouse. So it's the interaction, like the physical interaction, is the biggest thing for me, I think.
yeah, yeah. No, you're absolutely right. I mean, there's you can get great sound from, for instance, a really great distortion plugin
Yeah,
in whatever DAW you're using. but another thing is to get like a death by audio distortion pedal and
Yes.
see this thing and its weight and the
Yeah.
graphics and the way that the knobs feel, and you already feel like you're working with something that's going to destroy your signal. You know,
Yeah.
so
Exactly.
that sort of thing is very important. um, so where do you see Nystrom Instruments in the next 5 to 10 years?
Well, that's a big question. You know, I just hope that I will keep creating new instruments and grow my company a bit. It's still a very new company. You know, I just released my first product like a year ago. So I hope to keep growing it and make some fun instruments that people enjoy to make music with. And I hope I can grow it such that I can make a living of it in some way. Maybe part time, maybe full time. I don't know. I still want to teach, I think, so I
Hmm.
still want to do that as well. But yeah, I want to keep growing, and I want to make collabs with different other creators. I'm making a synth now with Analog Sweden here, which they are also based in Malmö, and they're designed by Love Hultén. So we are making another project together, and we want to keep doing collaborations like that. I think, yeah,
That's going to be exciting. Please make sure to keep me posted
yeah,
on
of course.
progress. We would love to see.
So I have the prototype, or one of the prototypes here
Oh wow,
also. So
it's so cool.
it's quite a lot bigger than this. So it's like the bigger brother to the Crum drum. It's called the Crum 2. So it's a lot bigger, a lot more features, a lot more things to do, and you can both have more control over it than you can with the original Crum drum, but you can also make it like way more chaotic and experimental as well. So it goes both ways. And we're still in the process of making this into a product. There's a lot of things to consider, like design wise and sound design wise and production wise. There's a lot of
Yeah,
different things to think about before it's actually ready for release. But we're really excited, and we think it's going to be a really great instrument.
well, it's already looking great.
Yeah,
So
we're happy with the
you're definitely
design.
off to a great start.
It's all thanks to Love, who is such a great designer.
Yeah,
And actually, that synth that I showed in the beginning, this one,
yeah.
was greatly inspired by Love's work when I made that. So it's really exciting to be working with him, like on a project together.
That's so cool. How'd
Yeah.
you guys meet?
So one of the guys of Analog Sweden actually knew Love somewhat, so they just called him, and he was really excited to make something together. So it
Very
wasn't
cool.
more complicated than that.
Well, that's great to hear, my friend. And I think
Yeah.
the last question would be for you is, you know, when I was first getting started with the Midium about almost 4 years ago on a full-time basis, Aaron and I have been doing this on our own for much longer, but just informally, we decided to really focus and take the company to the next level in
Yeah.
2021. But one of the first three inventors with whom we worked, the first three were Death by Audio, Auto Machines, and Mutable Instruments.
Yeah.
Um, with Mutable Instruments, Emily Gillette is, I think, one of the greatest minds that our industry has ever had, that the world of
Yeah.
music has ever had. And I miss her. Her modules were amazing. Communicating with her over email was always a trip, um, and the pleasure. And one of the things that I appreciated was when we started working with her, I got a chance to ask her, like, hey, how do you get started with this? It just seems so, for the person out there who wants to design their own synths, and I must say it's something that I've always wanted to do too.
Yeah.
So my beret is off to you, my friend, for having
Thanks.
taken the steps to do it yourself. But if you were to offer advice, just like Emily gave me some pointers on what to do, what would you tell somebody, regardless of age, regardless of where they are in life,
Yeah.
uh, what to do so that they could create their own synths like you did?
I think for me, 4 years ago or 5 years ago, I've never even touched a soldering iron. I've never read any code. I never looked at a schematic or knew anything about electronics. And now I know a few things about all those things. And it's just a lot of patience and a lots of time invested and lots of trial and error, mostly trial and error. you know, you have to fail 1,000 times to succeed once.
Hmm.
Uh, and just have to, I think what helped me is that I've been really motivated, have clear goals, what I wanted to create, and just try to take the steps to get there. I've been reading a lot of forums and get inspired by different people making similar stuff. But more in a practical sense, I'd say like try to learn some basics in electronics. How a potentiometer works, how what the resistor is, and how to read simple schematics, and just use the internet and try to find some simple designs for very simple synthesizers, and just get started there. And as I said, you have to fail a lot of times to succeed, but you just have to put your mind to it and start simple,
Yeah.
because you have to lay the groundwork to be able to make some more complex stuff in the future. And I think what really helped me also is to learn some programming if you want to make some more digital stuff, because when you're working with digital stuff, which some people don't want to do, they only want to work with analog stuff. But
Yeah.
when you're working with digital stuff, I think it's easier to make complex stuff with less knowledge, like
Hmm.
learning all about electronics and different circuits, and it's like black magic to me still. But maybe it's different for some other people. Maybe they find it easier than programming. I don't know. But for me, programming makes more sense because it's more like math, and yeah, it's more logical to me. So yeah, and I've been working a lot with the teensy microcontrollers because they have like a lot of pre-built stuff, like completed audio modules and stuff that you can like program in a pretty easy way.
Hmm. I see.
So you don't have to like do the low level programming because a lot of that stuff is already done. So you can focus more on like audio design and different kinds of programming.
I
But
see.
I think my biggest takeaway is just be patient, take a lot of time, and have clear goals, what you want to create. And if you put your mind to it, I think you can do it.
Well, that's very inspirational, my friend. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing your insights, and thank you for introducing yourself and Nystrom Instruments, and thank you for teaching me how to pronounce it properly. I was saying
Yeah.
Nystrom all the
Oh,
time,
nice.
and
Nystrom.
Nystrom,
Nystrom.
Nystrom,
Yeah.
Nystrom. So
Nystrom. Yeah.
yeah. Well, thanks a lot for joining us, and
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been really great to finally speak with you in person, not just via emails.
yeah, exactly. Likewise,
Yeah.
there's only so much words and emojis can do, you know.
That's very true. Yeah.
So Yeah, and everyone, this is the Nystrom Instruments Crum drum, available now at the Midium. As a pre-built unit, we are at this time the only place you can find it in North America.
Yeah.
Please give us a call, visit our website, send us a DM, send us a text message, a letter in the mail, smoke signals, whatever it is that you use, and please get in touch. Um, um, I think that pretty much wraps it up.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Great.
joining us.
Oh, thank you. It's been great
Oh, oh,
speaking to you.
oh, and
Yeah.
I get to say something I've been wanting to say for a long time, and that's if you like this video, hit like and subscribe at the
Oh,
bottom.
like a real YouTuber.
Exactly. There you go. I've
Yeah.
graduated. All right,
Nice.
my friend. We
Thank you.
thank you. We'll talk soon, eh?
Yes, sure.
All right. Take
Have a
care.
nice one. Yeah.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.